All right, let's jump straight into this explainer by traveling back to a seriously chaotic morning in Bangkok on July 5th, 2017. Picture this. You're sitting inside a massive luxury villa, living a life of absolute wealth and total secrecy. Then, all of a sudden, you hear a loud crash right outside your front gate.
So, this multimillionaire rushes outside to investigate what looks like a totally normal staged fender bender. But in his panic to see what happened to his property, he makes a fatal mistake. He leaves his encrypted laptop wide open on his desk. He has absolutely no idea that international police have been waiting for this exact moment for years.
Today, we're going to explore how international authorities spent years tracking what seemed like an untraceable ghost, only to finally catch him through a brilliantly orchestrated sting and one incredibly mundane digital footprint. It is a fascinating look at the realities of the modern digital age.
Part 1. Building the underworld. Before we can really grasp the sheer scale of this takedown, we have to understand the shadowy ecosystem this guy ruled, the dark web.
This setup brilliantly illustrates exactly why law enforcement struggled for so long. You have the Tor browser hiding physical server locations, combined with cryptocurrencies masking the transfer of money. Together, they made these black markets feel completely invincible. You had illegal trades, weapons, drugs, all happening entirely in the shadows, where identity and location were just totally masked.
After early sites like Silk Road fell back in the early 2010s, and other site operators basically stole their users' funds in what are known as exit scams, a massive vacuum opened up. Criminals and buyers desperately needed a new, trusted platform where they wouldn't just get ripped off by the platform owners themselves.
Part 2. Alphabet's criminal empire. Into this massive vacuum steps a mysterious figure going by the handle Alpha02. He launched Alphabet in 2014 to solve those exact trust issues, and he quickly dominated the entire dark web.
And the sheer scale of this operation was just staggering. By 2017, Alphabet had over 300,000 illicit items listed. Think about that for a second. This wasn't some small underground forum. It was a thriving global marketplace for everything from drugs and weapons to money laundering services and forged documents. Riding on the back of nearly $1 million in daily sales, the anonymous Alpha02 was personally pocketing around $500,000 every single month in pure commission. $500,000 every month. He became the undisputed and incredibly wealthy king of the dark web.
But here's the thing. Alpha02 was highly calculating. He explicitly banned highly targeted or abhorrent items, like child abuse material and hitman contracts, as well as stolen Russian bank details. That ban on Russian data is particularly fascinating. It was likely done to avoid angering Russian authorities, or to actively trick the US into thinking he was operating safely out of Moscow, totally beyond the reach of Western law enforcement.
American investigators desperately wanted to find Alphabet's servers, but Tor kept them completely hidden. Authorities tried acting as normal users buying drugs undercover, but that only ever caught low-level dealers. They desperately needed the mastermind. Which really begs the question, how on earth do you catch a flawless digital ghost who never seems to make a mistake?
Part 3. One fatal email mistake. The answer to tracing this ghost finally arrived when a Drug Enforcement Administration agent named Robert Miller received a tip that contained Alpha02's very first, and literally only, mistake.
Even though Alpha02 quickly fixed a system glitch way back in 2014, a tipster had saved an original welcome email, and that email accidentally exposed his personal, non-anonymous email address in the header data. It was just a simple Hotmail address, likely created long before he became a dark web kingpin.
This is where the whole thing just unravels step by step. Investigators took that single Hotmail address and found it linked to a French social media site called skyrock.com under the name Alex, complete with old photos. That then led to a dating profile indicating he was from Trois-Rivières in Canada. Finally, they matched it to a 2008 tech forum post signed with his real name, Alexandre Cazes. This entire time, he wasn't a Russian hacker at all. He was a 26-year-old Canadian.
Far from an invisible ghost typing away in a dark basement, Kaz was living a lavish, highly visible life in Thailand. On LinkedIn, he just called himself a software designer. Meanwhile, he's living in a $3 million mansion near Bangkok, driving a Lamborghini, and buying a holiday villa in Cyprus. He was completely unaware that agents from America, Canada, and Thailand were now watching his every single move.
Part 4. The Operation Bayonet Trap. But authorities knew they couldn't just arrest him. They needed to catch him logged into his computer to actually prove he was Alpha 02. That necessity led to an unprecedented 7-country global sting called Operation Bayonet. While the Americans were watching Alphabet's boss in Thailand, European authorities had secretly located the servers and the German administrators for his biggest competitor, a massive European site called Hansa Market.
And this is where the psychological trap beautifully snaps shut. Instead of taking both sites down at once, authorities secretly compromised Hansa, taking full control of it without telling anyone. Then they completely shut down Alphabet. Because dark web users immediately look for a backup when a site goes down, authorities successfully herded thousands of fleeing criminals straight into Hansa Market, which was now literally a police-run honeypot. It was a masterful, coordinated strike.
Part 5. The Kingpin's Final Fall. Which brings us right back to that fateful morning of the staged car crash in July 2017. The authorities knew they needed K's laptop open to definitively prove he was Alpha 02. By staging that distraction outside his Bangkok mansion, authorities caught him perfectly red-handed. When he ran out to check on the accident, agents rushed the house, securing his unencrypted laptop while it was still logged directly into the Alphabet servers. They secured all his passwords, millions in seized cryptocurrency, and full access to dismantle the entire Alphabet empire.
The final timeline is incredibly rapid and absolute. Within weeks, the 2 largest dark web platforms were totally obliterated and thousands of new dealers who fell for that honeypot trap were exposed. Tragically, Khaleesi took his own life while in custody just a week after his arrest, bringing a very dark end to the investigation before a trial could even begin.
As we wrap up this explainer, the true story of Alexander Chazy's leaves us with a fascinating, yet kind of chilling realization about the nature of our online lives and the data trails we constantly leave behind.
Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Everything is connected in the digital age, and sometimes the absolute smallest detail is all it takes to unravel the biggest mysteries. Think about it. If the undisputed king of the dark web couldn't erase a single copy-paste mistake from his digital past, what does that mean for the digital footprints the rest of us leave behind every single day?